Hi, sir. Michelle Canvas from Reuters. You mentioned that the leaders have agreed to move on to structured negotiations on unresolved issues. I just wanted to know what that actually means. Does that mean that we're moving into a phase of give and take?
We are moving into a phase. The reference in the document is win-win. And the reason that the language of win-win is used now is that we think, I feel that there is an agreement now that there is more collective gain than collective loss. Obviously, negotiations are about exchanging views and reaching a mutual agreement at the end. But the vision that we have been developing over yesterday evening's dinner and today is that there is a shared problem, which is a divided island and an unsolved issue, and that can be solved through the mutual work of the two sides, and the outcome will benefit both communities more than the price of the eventual giving-ins, which is why the language is now a phase of win-win or a phase of structured negotiations. But negotiations are negotiations, and they are substantive negotiations about real issues.
Yes, sir. From the AP, Menelos Hedgekostas. But apart from the terminology, we just want to know exactly how this dialogue, what the substance of it, because win-win, give or take, perspective of that, what it sounds like is they're continuing what they've always been doing and trying to bridge the gaps. What's new about this new phase?
Well, I think that the phase that was just concluded, and you should take notice of the fact that the statement explicitly says that the second phase is over. That was basically presenting the positions, and we now have a substantial amount of input from both sides in writing and also in the meetings that has been held so far, where the positions are now well known to the parties themselves and to the other party. So the structured negotiations, which are already talked about in the joint declaration of the 11th of February, are really beginning now, because now the preparatory phase preparing positions is done, and it's important for me to really underline the leaders agree that phase is now over, and we're into something else, which is a new phase of structured negotiations. So now actually we will put all the difficult questions on the table in a negotiating format, which means, both leaders have invited me as the special advisor to the Secretary General and the head of the Good Officers mission here, together with Lisa Butenheim, who will continue to work as my deputy and do much of the work when I'm not on the island, and support me when I'm here. We will then try to come up with ideas that can actually bridge those gaps based on the positions we have. And I would like to say that, as a general statement from me, and this is from me, there are clear differences of opinion on some issues. You all know that. But there's also, I want to convey to you as strong as I can that I feel that we have two leaders who want to solve them, and that they really think that solving them is better than continuing status quo, and there's a repetition today of the unacceptable, the status quo as we know it today is unacceptable. So I mean, one example of that is what I think the economic gains of developing two separate economies into one economy. It will gain everyone. It's not that somebody loses from having being part of a larger unified economy. It's something both sides win from. So win-win is not sort of a nice way of saying something else. It's actually about giving up something in order to achieve something bigger for both sides.
The leaders, you're going to Bayrak TV. The leaders are heading off to New York next week.
So right.
Usually we have a date for the next leaders meeting. You've talked about both the negotiators and the leaders coming together more intensively. Do we have an estimated date for the next meeting?
Well, they agreed to meet frequently, and so it will probably happen in October. The reason the next thing that's happening in this process are the various meetings that we'll all take part in New York. So that's not the leaders meeting, because it's not a meeting of the leaders, but there will be meetings with Secretary General, with with other key interlocutors. I will be there. I will meet with the Secretary General who's appointed me. So that and then the next leaders meeting will have to happen sometime in October, and the statement refers to frequent meeting at least twice a month. So you can calculate from there.
Αναφέρουμε ορισμένα από τα βασικά σημεία μέχρι στιγμής του κύριου Άιντε, ότι η ουσιαστική φάση τώρα αρχίζει, όλα τα δύσκολα θέματα στο τραπέζι. Τώρα αρχίζουν. Θα έρθουμε με ιδέες, είπε, και επόμενες επαφές το Σεπτέμβρη στη Νέα Υόρκη. Συνεχίζουμε να ακούμε τι λέει.
And that's not to say that confidence building measures are not important, but we were more focusing on where we want to go and how to get. If you look at the statement from 11th of February, it's actually a very bold and courageous statement which actually lays out many of the outcomes, including a rather detailed description of the character of the new state, bi-zonal, bi-communal, political equality, single international identity. This is going quite far. So, rather than talking about the small steps, we're trying to see, in order to get to where the leaders agreed to go in February, what are the steps we have to fill in to make that into reality. And I would say, having worked on many disputes and conflicts around the world and seen some of them succeed, in comparison, this is actually a rather strong common statement on the ambition to go somewhere. I'm not saying that in any way to suggest that it will be easy, because it will not be easy, but there is already a kind of shared vision on what the outcome will look like, which is quite unique, it's quite bold and it's courageous, and it should be built further upon. So our discussions yesterday and today was more based on that. Where are we going?
Can I ask, can you give us an idea
Ήταν μια πολύ δυνατή ανακοίνωση, λέει ο κύριος Άιντε, αυτή μια πολύ σημαντική ανακοίνωση, και αναφέρθηκε επίσης και χαρακτηριστικά στην πολιτική ισότητα και στη μία διεθνή προσωπικότητα των Αγγλών.
When time is right, because right now I'm working on the leaders, and with respect for the leaders, I will not go any further into that, but there are a number of interesting ideas being developed. But again, it's not my peace, my settlement. It's the people on Cyprus, north and south, and their leaders who will make the final agreement, and I'm here to help them to get there.
I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you all, and I'll try to be as
Αυτές ήταν οι αναφορές από πλευράς του κυρίου Άιντε. Εμείς τώρα αναμένουμε